Welcome to the Ben Stash Show. I'm your host, Ben Stash, and today we're looking at print media versus digital media. We all know that cell phones have taken the world by storm. And I've got my dear friend in the studio, Tim Bernard, whom I met at a big function, Kwanongoma, the royal household, when King Misuzulu was entering the crown. Welcome to the show, my dear friend.
And thank you, and lovely seeing you again. Looking smart as always.
That's what brought us together. It was my outfit.
It was the outfit indeed.
Yeah, it
And
was.
I just needed to make sure that it goes out there.
Yeah.
I think I took a picture of you with a cell phone first.
Yes.
Because that's what I was going to tweet.
Yes.
And that's what's going to send out the message that, hey, people are dressed up here. It's like a red carpet.
Yeah. Event,
Yeah.
I mean, in a Zulu traditional ceremony.
Right there in the Bundus.
Right there in the Bundus. And you also met me with Sboniso Mabaso, a historian guy and a traditionalist, I must say. He's passionate about Zulu tradition.
Dressed up in a
Zulu suit.
Yep.
Spot on, Anyway, Tim, please tell us, who is Tim, if somebody would like to know, and where you grew up and stuff.
Look, I'm from the famous township called El Dorado Park, an area there called Klipspread West.
Okay.
I'm a photojournalist, and basically what brings me here today is to speak about that photojournalism and journalism, and specifically, like you said earlier on, press versus social media or electronic media.
Yeah.
And like I alluded earlier, I took a picture with my cell phone. A lot of people might look at you as less professional, but guess what? That's the story that goes out there.
That's the
first.
story that goes out there.
Yep. That's the story that goes out there first. In my journey as a journalist, here's one of the things that happened that actually motivated me to become savvy.
Okay.
Savvy, I think is the right word. A guy by the name of Donovan Moodley kidnapped and killed a young girl by the name of Lee Matthews, I think it was, years ago. And nobody knew who Donovan Moodley was, but they had somewhat of an idea. And somebody so many years ago took a Motorola V flip phone.
And I remember those old Motorola's.
Yeah, flip ones.
Yes, I remember that.
And that person was standing at Health and Record Club, it's now Virgin Active, and took a picture over his shoulder of this guy called Donovan Moodley.
Okay.
That one picture was on the front page of every single newspaper in South Africa.
Wow.
That was a collaboration between electronics and print. But who won that day? It was electronics. It was a person that is not a professional that took a picture, he didn't want to be spotted. He took a picture over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Every single newspaper and TV station wanted
that picture.
And I'm saying every person out there with a cell phone literally is armed with the best media tool you can find.
It is true, because we have seen a lot of incidents, even plane crashes, whereby somebody will capture the moment. And even when altercation and fights erupt, then somebody will capture that moment and it will go viral. And today, whatever goes viral has to do with a cell phone.
Yep.
So in other words, you're telling us that when you have a cell phone, your cell phone can be something. Your cell phone is you have a profession or an ammunition to the world.
To make something out of what is happening right there in front of you. I know growing up in school, there was always the bullies, and they always used to beat us up on a Friday, and when the school ends, the term ends. And it was never out there. The minute we started capturing it, putting it out there, we could start dealing with the bullies, we could start dealing with the issues that we are facing at schools.
Oh yes, oh yes.
As recently as 2 weeks ago, we had a parent that went to a school, was shouting at a teacher. You know, the first thing I saw there is that there's a systematic fault at the school, because that parent that attacked that teacher verbally
Yeah.
could very well have been the uncle with a weapon. And because that evidence was captured, the system could do something. Now it's not only media, but it's monitoring whatever is going on around us. Now bringing this whole thing back to print versus digital.
Yeah.
Print comes up with the facts.
Okay.
It will investigate, it will ask questions, but truth is told in what you see. There's the bully, bullied that specific child. We have the evidence captured in video. There is a picture of the suspect that we're looking for, captured. Look, cell phones these days. Have you seen anything other than a camera being advertised when a new cell phone gets onto the market? They only use one tool, which is that camera, which connects this moment to the rest of the world.
To the rest of the world.
It's not a newspaper story
Yeah.
that goes viral. It's what comes off that hand device.
True.
Ultimately becomes viral.
Okay, but now, team, you are a professional journalist, and I need you to take us through, like, how did you come about becoming a journalist, and what was the motivation?
Content creator more than journalist. So my mother, when I was 12 years old, gave me a same time Kodak camera. You take your picture. And
Yes, I remember those.
but it was a water damaged camera that they thought would never work. Fooled around, had a lot of film. And I started taking pictures at family events.
Okay.
Years later, I got the opportunity. I was retrenched from the newspaper that I was working for, and they said, look, we'll give you an opportunity to go and study something. I went to do photojournalism at the Market Photo Workshop, which is in Newtown.
Okay.
They produce the best photojournalists on the continent. In fact, every year the intake includes a couple of people from other countries.
Okay.
And working with the Market Photo Workshop, I was introduced to some of South Africa's big newspapers, and I got an opportunity I grabbed with two hands. And it brought me here.
And so, I mean, like you say, that camera that mom gave you led to who you are today.
Sure.
So, in other words, tiny little things that nobody pays attention to can be a life-changing,
Sure.
what you call event.
Yep.
Or experience.
Yep.
Because you just got that Kodak, I mean, you call it the same time Kodak camera,
Yeah.
that you will take a picture. I remember those days. I mean, there were
Big
not so
ones.
many of those, right? And also they were huge, because I mean, you were taking that snap and then it will print immediately. And today you are making a living out of it. And recently on this show, we had a street photographer, and I asked him, what is his future? And he said, my future is the camera. You know?
I think it is a brilliant idea, and I mean, I'm heading in the direction of a street photographer taking pictures, printing it out immediately.
Yeah.
I see guys in the city center, you get out of a taxi or you walk out of the bank and they stand at the distance, take a picture, show you the picture,
Yeah.
offer to WhatsApp it to you at a cost of 10 Rand, 15 Rand. They're making a living.
Of course, yes.
And there's different levels to it.
And this gentleman we had on the show, he bought himself a Beetle, you know, the VW Beetle.
Yeah.
And through the funds he raised, and he also told us he's got 2 children, so he's maintaining himself and his children and making a fair living out of taking pictures on the streets. So let's say I am somewhere and a scene unfold, I capture that moment. Who pays me for that? You told us a story of a guy who took a picture, and the picture was on every front cover.
Sure.
And then who compensates?
Look, this specific guy knew that everybody wanted to know who this Donovan Moodley was.
Yeah.
When he said, I have what you want, and my encouragement to all the youngsters out there is find out what is wanted in the digital world, in the print world, in the news world, in the entertainment world. Find out.
Yeah.
That is why you find some people make a living out of being a paparazzi. All they do
It's paparazzi.
all day is follow
Celebrities and
find
public
mistakes
figures.
because
Yeah.
you know that bad news sells,
Yeah.
and they make huge livings out of it. I don't even want to go into what monies they actually reap in.
Yeah.
But if you as a person with this device, I don't know if I'm now promoting cell phones here, but if you have this device
No, yes.
and you, I mean, there's this huge
You've got the
struggle to
world.
make funds for yourself, pocket money.
Yeah.
You've got the world out there wanting what what you are witnessing at that very moment. I'm looking at this picture behind me.
Yes.
I go to a hotel, top floor, and I see this picture, take a picture of it, get the best quality. Now you're sitting with a whole lot of good pictures. How do you sell it?
How do you sell it?
Who's going to pay for it?
Right.
Now that's where the secret lies. I'm not going to give it out on air.
No, but I mean, we need that secret, because I believe if somebody captured a moment and their footage or their picture goes out, right, to the media houses, and then supports their story, and their story becomes big and substantiated, the person who took that picture must be compensated. And how do they claim?
Okay. So what a lot of people have found themselves in, and at one point I also found myself in that situation, where a picture became available either through social media or via your WhatsApp groups and Facebook like that.
Yeah.
You really want to use the picture. The person that ultimately decides, I'm speaking for print now, this picture will be used in our paper, has to have the assurance and the clearance that this picture, we are using it with full permission. It is not a fake.
Okay.
If you can get GPS locations, which is available when you take a picture with the cell phone, if you can get that location and you can double check the person that has provided you the picture,
Yes.
will have the conversation where they can say, I just got it there, but you can give me anything, which is what often happens, because the normal person in the street knows that I can get paid, but they don't know how much they can get paid for.
Okay. Okay.
Educate yourself on that. If you think you're going to go out with a cell phone or with a camera and get good quality pictures or video clips, take the extra time to educate yourself on what it can bring you in pocket. Because once you know, you are going to be so motivated that you will move from the Polaroid or Kodak big camera to something that is
Yes.
that you can email right from your camera, so that you get the images out there to the media houses. Also, make yourself known to the media houses.
Or make yourself known to the media houses. I personally, I know media houses are very fussy people.
And they'll tell you about budget.
Yeah, I mean, they are fussy and big-headed. Anybody who's doing media has got that thing, I also remember back then when print media was large. Do you remember that Daily Sun came and took South Africa by storm?
Sure.
There was Daily Sun in every street corner.
Yeah.
Every household you will find Daily Sun. What happened? Did you work with Daily Sun before?
Well,
or Media 24?
at the
who
birth-
are they? Is it Media 24?
Daily Sun, I don't know who they belong to at the moment.
They were, I think they were under Naspers.
Yeah. But I don't think they're still there. However, when Daily Sun, at the birth of Daily Sun, they went for a specific market, a market that nobody cared about.
No. Their target was Tigolosh.
Nobody.
Anything to do with Tigolosh. You know what? In South Africa, everybody knew about Tigolosh, but Daily Sun gave character to Tigolosh.
Look, I still believe it was a market that nobody really cared about.
Okay.
And they captured it.
Yes.
Daily Sun's numbers are still at the very top.
Wow.
When it comes to their sales.
Is it?
Still at the very top, if not the highest.
It's been
sales.
long since I've seen Daily Sun.
Yeah, no, they're much bigger than most of your big papers in South Africa at the moment.
Okay.
Now, what I'm saying here is this is what you look at a professional, institutional level. Mm-hmm. But coming down to just being the normal person on the street. Because digital is mainly driven by what the normal person in the street witnessed. Print is driven by bringing through the actual facts.
Okay.
But how do you motivate the person out there to not just take a picture and put it on his personal Facebook and other people, I almost said retweet it. Well, you know, they copy it and
they can share it. They can retweet it. They can, forward that picture.
Yeah.
Or even grab it.
So many 100 times where it had the potential to give you something in pocket. Wow. Don't ever miss that.
Wow.
Why is it that influencers out there don't have a diploma to become an influencer? They don't have a degree or any formal education for that purpose. They've got a huge following.
Yes, no, they do.
Imagine you had, at the beginning of Daily Sun, you had digital platforms that grew some, together with the print product. Those type of influencers would have been owning the world right now. And what I'm saying is, if you're out there, you want to take a picture, familiarize yourself with the industry. Yeah. My motivation to you is make money out of it.
Make money out of it. In other words, you're saying, in media, there's room for everybody. Yes, I mean, this is the sense I am getting, that in media, there is room for everybody. Mm-hmm. In fact, now that we're talking digital media, there was a story recently in South Africa where I think somebody in government was caught on a footage fighting a lady in a club, and that person lost their job. Do you understand? It is not a nice thing to happen to anybody. But, and again, the challenge we have is that people will no longer lend a hand to you. Instead, they will rather videoize you or take pictures of you. So I think media, digital media is good, but it is also killing our morals.
Killing our morals?
Somehow. If I am drowning, there's a famous picture where somebody is drowning and asking for help.
And people are busy.
And people are busy, they are capturing the moment. So, where is morality in that?
Look, we are free to question the person that takes the picture as he's handing out the food parcel. We are questioned when somebody is busy drowning and you're taking a picture first. There's always going to be that fine line between two acts, taking of the picture and actually rescuing the person. One very famous picture, and I think it is the world's most famous picture, is of a child, I think it's in Somalia, a child that's busy dying there. You can see the ribs on the side, and the child looks as if it has kwashiorkor.
Malnutrition.
Yeah. And in the background is a vulture that appears to be ready to eat this child.
Oh my God.
Now, the picture, I think, is Kevin Carter that took it. People say that later on he committed suicide because the picture was eating his mind.
He was traumatized.
But other people, including himself, will tell you that that picture was taken in such a way, in that juxta, that kind of, it raised the fear inside of those that saw the picture and did nothing to help.
Sure.
That child was going to be eaten by the vulture. But the person that took the picture would later on say, no, the parent wasn't far off. The parent was busy getting a food parcel, just put the child down here for a couple of minutes, and he got the opportunity to juxtapose the child and the vulture. Who says the person that's busy taking a picture of the one drowning is not helping? Maybe somebody else is jumping in to help and you took the opportunity to take the picture. There's always that discussion. What if it was only the two people there? Could there have been a third person that was actually helping? And I'm capturing that moment. Here's the hero of Johannesburg jumping into a sewer drain to go and help a child that fell in type of situation.
Yes. And so, which media houses have you worked for, and what media houses are you working with?
Look, I'm with African News Agency at the moment, and being with an agency, you are...
Freelancing?
I don't freelance, but I am part of a family of print media houses, online, because I'm a content creator and supply whatever they want. So if you say to me tomorrow, hey, I want this, I will speak to African News Agency and say to them, hey, I've got a new client, do you think you can sell our products or our services to them?
Okay.
They sign you up, I do the work out there in the field.
Okay, what do they do? What is that agency does?
So African News Agency does videos, photos, audio, they do graphics, infographics, like your the rand rates and all of that. Those graphs, they do all of those type of things, and they can service a variety of clients nationally as well as internationally.
Okay, and so what sort of job opportunities are available with them?
Now, that's a very good question. I'm going to go broad first so that I can bring it down to the young person that's interested. Earlier on, you alluded to the fact that they are media houses, very finicky, they very funny. Now, there's an election in Kenya. To take me there is going to be the airfares, it's going to be stringer's fee, I might need somebody to translate in the local dialects there,
Okay.
transport, accommodation. But if there is a person in Kenya that has been covering events in Kenya, and I see him on social media, I see him on Twitter, I call him and I say, listen, do you think you can
Cover for us?
4 or 5 days, I will give you, in South African rand, it's less than half of what I would have spent going there myself.
Okay.
And I communicate with this person, speak to me every 3 hours, send me information every 3 hours. And from the comfort of my South African, now that we're working from home, from my couch,
Yes.
I can control what my journalist or what my contact is doing in Kenya. Isn't it the responsibility for us here in South Africa, isn't it responsible rather for us here in South Africa to say, let's use somebody in that country? The styles might be different, but if you communicate enough with that cell phone, that device I told you about,
Sure.
you can control which direction it takes.
Okay.
I'm saying to the person in Tembisa, 3 weeks ago there was a month ago there was a riot in Tembisa, and the highway was filled with journalists because we couldn't get into Tembisa. A youngster there in Tembisa who was right there where it was happening could have told the story of Tembisa
To all the journalists, or to some?
to everybody that wanted it.
Yeah.
Because when a person fell and that person was declared dead, all of us wanted to be there. But
Yes.
those youngsters were there.
And having that,
They should have told the story. They should have told the story. They should have said, hey, somebody out there, here's the story. Then responsible media houses would have somebody in their department getting in touch with that person, saying, listen, do you have other pictures? Can we pay you for the pictures? Now all of a sudden, the media houses aren't as, I can't remember what word you use, but they aren't as difficult to communicate with because they are getting what they want.
They are getting what they want.
And you are making it available because we were stuck on the highway. The cops said, don't go into Tembisa. But those kids inside Tembisa, right there where it was happening, they can be the same Nzimas that took the picture of Hector Peterson. Remember the famous Hector Peterson?
That famous picture.
Us, the professionals, were on the highway. Those youngsters,
Were on the scene.
they were on the scene. They sometimes chase us away from the scene because they say, you don't tell our stories. Tell it. Tell it on Facebook. Tell it on Twitter. Media houses will contact a person that has given something that's unique, that everybody is interested in. You need to find that soft spot as a person in the street. Do you need a degree? Do you need a diploma? I don't know. But if you have the goods, trust me, it will appear on the mainstream media because everybody is interested in it.
Wow. And so I remember the vehicle you were driving was branded with so many newspaper names and stuff. What is all that? Can you please tell us?
Okay, so I normally say to people, I live in Joburg, but I'm a citizen of the country. That vehicle had the biggest newspaper in KZN, Isilezwe, and some of the other papers that form part of the group in KZN. I flew down to KZN to go and assist with the King's coronation. I'm hoping to go back in 2 weeks' time when it happens at Moses Mabhida.
Oh, yes.
Going to get you there?
You should send me there.
I'm going to look out for you.
Send me there. I should be there, of course, yeah.
So-
and now there is the read. I mean, the read ceremony,
Yeah.
which will be happening at Enyokeni on the 17th, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm unfortunately missing out on that one. But trust you me, a simple story came out when we were down in Ngoma for the...
Makangela Amangengan.
Yeah,
That palace.
that palace, yes.
Yeah.
I learned that there's a 70-year-old maiden, a Zulu maiden.
Oh.
70-year-old.
Yes, I was told about it. From Peter Maritzburg, I think.
She was honored with a doctorate.
Yes. From Peter Maritzburg.
Isn't that a story that should be told?
It is a story to be told because it's unheard of in this day and age.
Now, just mentioning it here, and whichever media house is going to listen to this,
Yeah.
they're going to make it a point to try and get a hold of her. They're going to make it a point to get that story because even though it qualifies just only as a sidebar, but they want to be the ones that tell the story. But if there's a youngster out there, and can you see how many times I'm speaking to the youngsters, I'm motivating them. If there's a youngster out there that has access to this granny, go! Record this granny while she's still alive. Capture her speaking to the youngsters of South Africa. Make it available to the first person that can help you push it forward. It's a beautiful story.
And so, since you've been in the industry for quite some time, what changes have you seen? And do you think government is playing a role in helping media or our media?
I cannot hide the fact that as South Africans, we don't have scales over our eyes. South Africans can see that government has control of a lot of media houses. Government is playing it difficult for a lot of media houses. So the amount of growth that, sorry, let me just backtrack. I came in right there with the Donovan story,
Yes.
where a cell phone picture was on the front of every single newspaper. So I was motivated and encouraged to follow both reels, the professional reel as well as the not so professional reel that is now so much more popular.
Okay.
Now, all of the growth that we should have seen over the years has somewhat been stifled by some of our country's decision makers, but not only limited to South Africa.
Yes.
I remember when you were not allowed to take pictures of Nkandla. When I studied, we were told access points, refineries, serious government buildings, there's reasons why we don't publish pictures because it could help with tactical attacks and on those institutions. But now you find, and which was very, very, very upsetting to me, on the non-televised night of the Salmas just last week, I was taking pictures and a security guard put his hand in front of my camera. I exploded. He believed he was doing his job.
Yeah.
I believe he stepped out of his bounds.
Yeah.
I believe I was doing my job.
Okay.
I was sitting on the floor in front of the stage taking pictures, and he was telling me that I'm not allowed to sit there. Yo, you touch my camera,
Yes.
you're fighting with me.
Touch
Let's
your
let's
camera.
let's put it like that, because your fingerprint is going to be on my lens.
Yeah.
I'm going to be frustrated. No, it was just not.
And touching someone's private property, I don't think it is. I mean, it is legal.
Yeah.
And we have seen such things happen a lot. But what happens when paparazzi keeps on taking your pictures and you don't want them to? So obviously, we've seen people. I've also seen, who is this guy? Kanye West, even fighting off a paparazzi.
Sure.
So what do you make of such incidents?
All right. So some of the laws in different countries, they differ somewhat, but the fundamental is when somebody is in their private space, and this is where the paparazzis thrive, when they're in their private space, they can take legal steps.
Okay.
If you sneak in and you grab a picture, and all of that we understand. I mean, like, you wouldn't want somebody to secretly put a camera behind a mirror in a hotel room. You know, you can collapse that hotel or that business,
Yeah.
because they're coming into your private space.
Yeah.
If somebody sneaks a cell phone into, the cubicles at the school toilets,
Yes.
they sneak a camera over and they take a picture. Big trouble for them.
Big trouble for them.
But the minute Kanye West goes into a public space,
Yeah.
I don't even need permission to take a picture of him, and this is what people don't know.
You don't even need permission. So in other words, you can grab, because this person is in a public space and now they belong to everybody. Is that what you say?
I'm going to go back to this beautiful picture again. You're walking on the Nelson Mandela Bridge because it's an experience for you.
Yeah.
And I'm taking a picture of the Nelson Mandela Bridge. You are invading my picture.
Okay.
I can turn the argument around like that.
Okay.
It is only decent for a photographer that has the intention to publish a picture to actually have a conversation with the person that's in his picture. That is why you will find some of us, we take a picture, we come, what's your name? What's your surname? I'm going to use the picture for this purpose. Are you okay with it? Sharp. Can I have your phone number? Give you a call. Hey, your picture's published. Get the paper or go onto our website. See, it looks nice, blah, blah, blah. Good. You can't come back and say you never gave me permission. I asked you. I had the conversation with you. That is why I know your name. Is that the correct spelling? Okay. That's how we prove that we've actually asked you for permission to use.
Okay. And then have you ever found yourself in trouble maybe with the picture?
Yes.
Please tell us maybe one incident.
It's one of the bigger incidents here in South Africa. So it's not a picture I took, but it's a picture I supplied to the paper of one of the trans... do I have to mention his name?
I don't know.
Right. It's one of the people that has to pay big money back. big money.
Okay.
Published his picture. He claimed that it wasn't him. I used the wrong picture. Just to come and find out. Last week, him and Brian were in court. They have to give answer. I felt I was now vindicated because 7 or 8 years ago, when I used this picture the first time,
Yeah.
he was defending himself
Yeah.
and dropped me into hot water. Thank God my company at the time protected me.
Okay. Who is that person you were protected against? Is it somebody we know?
Yeah, all of South Africa knows him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
Anyway.
our former president?
No, not that big. But
Not that big.
do you know Brian Malife?
Oh,
He
Brian
has-
Malefe.
He-
Okay.
Brian, he's in court with another person.
Yeah.
That guy.
Oh.
Yeah, that guy. I will not mention his name.
Okay. And so, and in your journalism, are you focusing more on lifestyle or politics or whatever comes?
Look, for me to ensure that I have a job tomorrow, I need to do everything. If the Springboks are playing tomorrow, and just so by the way, I was at their game against New Zealand. Man, it was heartbreaking, but anyway, I did sports on that day. I'm sorting out PSL accreditation today for all the PSL games that's happening. South Africa will be hosting the Women's Hockey World Cup in Potchefstroom. Guess what I'll be doing?
What?
Hockey. And I'm not saying I'll be doing pictures or video or audio. I need to be doing all of it. And if somebody phones and says, can you give us a 200-word color piece on that hockey game, I would need to know what an empire, some of the rules, do you understand? So that I can mention it in whatever I write. If somebody says, there was the Psalmist now the other day.
Yes.
There was Miss South Africa.
Yes.
So for a journalist or any self-respecting journalist these days to say, I only focus on that one thing, you are limiting yourself, because that one thing, Miss South Africa pageant comes once a year for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
What do you do the rest of that year?
Yeah, sure.
You need to go
so
and...
that's why you need to have your hands on
Yeah.
many things.
Yeah.
And do you sometimes worry that perhaps journalism is dying?
You know, a famous rapper said, we don't die, we just multiply. And I think the death of journalism,
Yeah.
there's an Afrikaans saying, and I'm going to try and translate it. Een man se dood is die ander se brood.
Okay. In
So-
Sesotho, do you know what they say?
Say?
Lefu la hao la mphidisa. It's
Yeah.
the same translation,
There we
direct, because I mean, lefu la hao, your death
Is my breed.
is my bread.
Yeah. So the death of the traditional journalism as we've always known it to be shouldn't be considered, for me, shouldn't be considered a physical death, but an evolution. So you have gone better than what you used to be. And that is why I keep on saying, young people out there, start something, educate yourself around it, and by the time it offers an opportunity, you would be ready. You should be ready.
Yeah, but you haven't mentioned houses you worked with or papers you worked with. I am interested because that is not a crime.
Okay.
If you did work for this paper and for this a TV station or something you covered, that is your profile.
Okay, if I have to. My first publication I worked for is called I Care. It was in 2000. It is Pope John Paul. You remember the Pope John Paul that used to kiss the ground when he gets into
Yes.
different countries? His magazine.
Okay.
So I worked for his magazine. The next publication thereafter was the Star newspaper.
Okay.
And from the Star I branched out to Pretoria News, and then there was Diamond Field Advertiser. So some of my work was published in those three. Then it grew bigger because then when I joined the agency a couple of years later, it was all the independent papers. So there's this, yeah.
Yeah. And so you have acquired quite a lot of experience working with different newspapers and different journalists.
Yep, and as well as different departments, because there was a time when what I do now was in different buildings, and now it's in one person's, on your laptop or on your cell phone.
And so, have you seen journalists perhaps go from being this well to nothing or diminish?
I think a journalist that is allowed themselves to go from up there to down here are the journalists that didn't want to embrace that evolution. Yeah, because it's not going to stop. From here, it's just going to get even faster.
Yeah, even faster.
And the person that went from a film camera and made the rest of the world to believe that this is classic, you can't leave this. Sure, we don't want to leave it, but you need to get the digital camera. You need to get the camera that sits on your ring if you want, that deep information.
Sure.
Often you are prevented from taking a camera into a certain space. Yeah. But if that space, now it's a very big contradiction I'm saying now, if that space needs to be infiltrated, be ready to do it.
Wow.
I have spectacles at home, and I'm giving the secret away now, but everybody should know about these specs.
Yeah.
They have a camera
okay.
over here and a mic over here.
Oh my God.
You can't even see because it looks like Ray-Bans.
Oh.
And Ray-Bans have like little knobs. Yes. Those are my cameras and mics. If I need to use it,
you just go like, empty-handed, but you're fully.
You know you're loaded.
What do you call that kind? Is it spy journalism?
Look,
it should be.
I think it's still journalism. You want to go and get information. I might not publish the information, but I'll keep it as evidence. I'll keep it. If somebody says no cell phones allowed, what are you hiding? And if I want to say you did it, I need to have the evidence.
And so after this show, do you think they will allow you with your spectacles on? Somebody will be watching, and there you come. They say, hey, we've seen this one. Be careful.
I have a ring with a camera on it and a mic on it as well. So are you going to take off my ring, my specs? Yeah. I have a pen that sits here with a camera on it. Are you going to...
So in other words, don't you dare.
No, if it's that difficult to go into a place. Yeah. There was a movie, a bank robber, that used to say he would never rob a bank if he can't get out within 30 seconds. Oh. So I wouldn't want to put myself in a situation, I'm not going to rob a bank, but I wouldn't want to put myself in a journalistic situation where I can't come out in under 30 seconds. I've been there before. One of my best friends in journalism was a hostage for 3 years in Syria. Oh. I was locked up in a fridge.
Oh my God.
at one of these big foods. In fact, the fisheries department was doing an investigation on crayfish that was the wrong size. So it was a whole bunch of journalists, and the owner of that place didn't want us to come out with this information. While we were in the fridge, he closed the door, he locked it. Oh, so I'm not claustrophobic.
And so you have seen the worst in journalism. Because being locked in a fridge, that's between life and death situation.
The funny part is, I was the one to phone 1011.
Inside the fridge.
Come help us.
Inside the fridge.
They got there within minutes. While we were in the fridge, they got there to come and rescue us. But who did they speak to first?
The owner.
The owner, and he gave his version.
Yeah.
And they wanted to arrest us because we trespassed. And we were with the Department of Fisheries. They had all official documents. But because he gave his version first, I was happy to be out of the fridge. A cell isn't that cold, but...
I love that. I was happy to be out of the fridge. I've never had that story before.
We were all chilled.
Wow. But okay, do journalists, I think like anybody else, need permission to set their foot on someone's property?
It is the right thing to do. There are still our journalistic interests can't supersede the law of the country.
Yeah.
As a journalist, if look, we're gonna take our chances, and we're gonna come out with evidence that we were indeed there, and the evidence, 90 to 10, will point away from us. And I haven't seen journalists, apart from Karen Mon just the other day with the Zuma. She has to appear in court, I think now the 17th, for having accessed one of Zuma's public documents that his lawyer put in his.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
She will be prosecuted for that. I don't know if that is going to be a successful case, but 10 to 1, our evidence points against us because we have gotten things almost illegally. But are we lying? No. That is why people don't worry about how you got it. They're just happy that you got it.
Okay. Have you ever been asked by a politician to cover a story in a way that favors them or in a way that...
But that's the only way they do it.
Always.
That's the only way they do it. Yeah. I've had a politician, you will hear today or tomorrow that the ANC is filing a complaint against the city because they allowed, the city of Joburg, yeah, because they allowed a certain ward councillor who used different surnames to participate in the sitting of the city, and it's illegal. Oh. The DA government, they're going to face the brunt of it now in the next couple of days. Yeah. That this person has this surname, and it's not as if you got married and you got a new surname. There's an issue there with the surnames. And how do we get access to that information before it's out? Yeah. It's a politician that will come along and say, hey, this is the story. This is the story. Can you cover it? Can you do something? And we listen. We know we're being used. Yeah. But sometimes some of us wants to be used. You want that gravy story. Of course. Want to be right there where everybody is going to say, wow. And next week when they see your name next to a story, they're going to say, hey, this one.
Okay, I mean, in conclusion, Tim, would you advise anybody to take journalism in this day and age, or you think it's phasing out slowly?
Phasing out slowly is not a very bad term. It almost corroborates my opinion that it is evolving. Yeah, it is evolving. So, new age journalism doesn't have a solid signature in universities or colleges, but it's something that is desperately needed because journalism, its evolution has just become stronger. All the electronic devices that you have out there, yeah, has an aspect of journalism in it. Even your microwave. Awesome. Your microwave will pick up your family algorithms. You put in at 7 o'clock in the morning, you put in half a cup of milk, you warm it up for a minute. Who's to say 3 years from now, you have a number on the microwave screen. Click. You put your milk in, that machine will do it for you. Yeah. You can already do it with your cell phone. Okay. Your algorithms is recorded everywhere. Wow. And that is because we wanted to know what's the next pattern. It's journalism. It's recording things and making it work somewhere. And for people to understand that, I mean, robotics is called the new thing, but robotics has its own aspect of journalism as well. Because people are always going to, if you look at television stations, a decoder that says we have 20 channels will have a minimum of 6 news channels. And what feeds news channels? News channels are 24 hours a day. Yeah. It's journalism. It's journalism. So we need to just evolve with it to understand it. And then we won't see it as fading out or dying. We will only see it as, wow, something new.
Meaning people must grow with time. Yeah, so that's it. And thank you, Tim, for being on the show. And I truly appreciate you for being supportive even outside the studio. And thank you very much for watching. And Tim, how do people follow you when they need you? Like, do you have a Twitter handle? Do you have a page or something?
Now, the biggest contradiction is I have all of those, but I don't use them.
You don't use them. And so how do people reach you?
Follow the stories. Follow the stories. If you get that flavor that I'm involved, I most probably am.
Thank you very much. That's Tim. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and comment. Even share our videos. This is the Benster Show. See you next time.